Welcome back to Jade's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making sourdough with Bessie. You need a bowl. You do need a scale, so you're gonna have to go to Amazon and get a scale, and I will link everything in my Amazon storefront for you guys. You don't need all the fancy stuff, but if you have it, definitely makes your life easier. I've got my active starter. I fed Bessie last night. She is looking beautiful. She's fallen a little bit. We're gonna use this Robin Hood bread flour. It doesn't have to be unbleached. I do use unbleached to mix my sourdough starter. I zero out my bowl and I need 125 grams of active starter. I'm gonna mix her up. She smells delicious. So 125 grams. I was thinking about making 124. Perfect. Okay. I definitely probably could make 2 Bessies. Should I just make 2? Let's see if I've got enough for 2. 249. Now I've got like nothing left in my bowl. Don't be scared. It's okay. I actually have more than enough to feed her. Even if you use all of her, you just need the tiniest amount. I'm gonna scrape it all down. Then I will feed her later tonight. Literally all I need. So 325 grams of filtered water, although since I'm making 2 sourdough loaves, we need to double that. So 650 grams of filtered water. I just boil my water and then call it filtered. 661. And I did a little bit too much. Mix that shit together. Take it off my scale to do this. You see it? You mix it all, it's gonna be milky in texture. We're gonna switch the bowls because I decided to make 2 sourdough loaves. Everything's fine, don't worry. For 1 sourdough loaf, you need 500 grams of flour, bread flour. So I need 1,000. $9.99. 1,000. I put in the salt now. Some people will do it after their first stretch and fold. So I'm gonna zero this out. 20 grams of salt, you're gonna be like, ew, that's so salty. Ew, that's 23, it's fine. If you really wanna get technical, grab some out. Goodbye. Take your scale, you're done with that now. Put your salt away. Mix this up. You got your flour mixture here. You're gonna mix it into a shaggy dough. Don't worry, I already washed my hands before this. One thing that they don't tell you about sourdough, you're gonna clog the shit out of your drain. Do not put this straight into the sink. This dries like cement and you will have plumbing issues. Take a paper towel and wipe the majority of it away or else it will clog your sink and then you're gonna have a hefty plumbing bill. I've already gotten shit from my husband that our sink is clogging. And I said, what do you want from me? You either want fresh bread, it comes with a clogged sink a little bit, but like seriously do your best not to clog it. So I'm just using my hands to mix that all together into a shaggy dough. Once you get that all mixed up, grab yourself a tea towel, let it rest for 1 hour, and we will come back to do our stretches and folds. It has been 1 hour and 20 minutes. I may have let it rest a little bit too long. It's fine. We're now going to do our first set of stretch and folds. Wash your hands, and when your hands are wet, it will help the dough not stick to them. Take off my towel and show you what it looks like. You are going to do this every half hour for the next 2 hours. So we're gonna do a total of 4 stretch and folds. So I'm gonna show you how this works. Use your wet hands so the dough doesn't stick to you. All you're gonna do is pick up the dough, stretch it, and fold it down. Okay? And you're gonna go around the bowl. It's very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Stretch it, fold it down. Stretch it, fold it down. Again, I'm not a sourdough expert, but this does strengthen the gluten in the dough. When you keep doing this, the dough gets harder and harder to stretch. That's exactly what you want. Like it's already gaining strength. We're done. That's literally it. Now I'm gonna let this rest for another half hour and we're gonna come back and do it again. Put your cover over it. Be back in a half hour. One tip, because you are probably going to forget about stretch and folds and you do not want it to start expanding and fermenting when you miss a stretch and fold. So set a timer. Hey Siri, set a timer for 12 p.m. Okay, see you there. And we are gonna do our second set of stretch and folds. It looks like, and again, same as last time, picking it up, folding it over. I kind of like to scoop it and then push it, but that's just me. I'm gonna go all around the bowl. Cover, set an alarm for half hour, and we're gonna come back and do it 2 more times. Hey Siri, set alarm for half hour. 3rd set of stretch and folds, letting it rest for another half hour. Okay friends, this is our last set of stretch and folds until we leave it to rest. So this is what it looks like. It's not really stretching and folding anymore. After I'm done this, we're gonna let it rest for about 6 hours. We're gonna keep an eye on it though, because I do not want it to over ferment. When we let this rest, give a wet towel, then it'll stop the dough from like drying out because it can get a little bit crusty on top. That'll make sure it stays hydrated. Because I'm in Canada and it's very cold, I'm going to turn my oven light on. If I put it inside my oven, it's gonna stay a little bit warmer just because it's so cold and drafty in my house. Light is on, but I'm not gonna close the door because then it would get too hot. So I'm just gonna keep the door open like this with the light on, and we're gonna let that rest for 6 hours. I am gonna check it though after about 4 hours because I don't want it to over ferment, which means it would be overproofed. I have overproofed my dough before, and I'll give you some tips when we go and check it. But overproof dough just kind of tastes a little bit more sour. It may not rise as well. You're gonna have a lot of bubbles in the bread, so then I've got lots of holes in my slices, which you don't want. Honestly, if you mess things up, it's gonna be fine. It's not that big of a deal, but if you want like a perfect loaf, then obviously follow all the tips. I will see you back here in about 4 hours. We're gonna check it. All right, my friends, it has actually been almost 4.5 hours, and my dough is ready. I'm gonna show her to you. She has doubled in size. That's exactly what you want. You want her to still pull away from the edge. If anything, my dough might be slightly overproofed because she feels a little bit sticky. It's fine, it is what it is. Like I said, you don't need a banneton basket. You don't need all this fancy stuff. Lightly flouring our surface. You can see a little bit of webbing. Webbing is okay. Too much webbing can signify overproofing. Come on, Bessie. And when she's like stuck and hard to get out, then you know she may be overproofed. She's still gonna taste good. Alrighty. Everything came out of the bowl. Now I'm actually gonna cut it in half because again, remember we're doing 2 loaves. So this is where these come in handy, where before I was using a knife and it wasn't that easy. Equal in size. One of her to the side. We'll work with this girl. So you're shaping. I just want to stretch her out. Once you've got her shaped out like this, I'm just making regular. We're not doing any inclusion loaves. Fold over once. Fold over again. And then you're gonna roll her up. Ah, she feels good. Now, once you have her rolled up like this, then you're gonna do your shaping. So make sure your surface is still floured a little bit more. If it's perfectly proofed, you probably won't have to flour your surface, what I've learned. You're gonna have her in a little ball like this. I'm gonna grab her, I'm gonna push her forward, and then I'm gonna tuck my fingers underneath her, turn, and bring her back. You're kind of going in like a J motion, okay? Grab her, push her, and spin, and pull back. Grab, push, spin, pull back. Grab, push, spin. I'm gonna let her sit for a minute, and then we're gonna grab our other girl over here. So I'm just stretching her out into a big old rectangle. Fold, fold, roll. She should feel really light and fluffy. And if she's really overproofed, then you're gonna find it really hard to shape because it's kind of just gonna everywhere. We're gonna leave them. We're gonna let them rest for 20 minutes. It has been 20 minutes, so I'm now gonna take these doughs and we're just gonna do the exact same thing. Stretch them out. This time it's going to be a lot harder to stretch because they want to hold their shape. Fold it as best as you can, roll it up, And then shake one more time. You're gonna take your bannetons, now that they're ready. You can flour your banneton just so that it doesn't stick. That's really the only purpose of flouring them. And you're gonna flip it upside down and place her in there. The reason you flip it upside down is because tomorrow morning when we go to bake, we're just gonna go like this. All we do now is we're gonna put them in the fridge overnight and bake in the morning. See you then. Good morning. It's time to bake. We need to preheat our oven with our Dutch ovens inside 450 degrees. I've got 2 Dutch ovens. They're both from Pampered Chef, but you can get them on Amazon. Put the lid on with it because you want to heat up the Dutch oven so that the bread doesn't go in it cold. This bread has been in the fridge all night long. I actually did put a little shower cap over this one. And we're going to transfer these directly into the Dutch ovens. So I'm going to flip it over. In order for your design to show up, this is where people go in and sprinkle the flour on top when you score it. So I'm just going to do that. We're going to do an ear score. And this scorer thingy, I will link in my Amazon storefront. You don't need one of these. When I started making bread, I just used a knife. And then we'll do some wheats. My wheats work way better when I just lightly score it like this. And this just allows air to get into the bread. Okay, let's do a 1. Oh, shit. See, this is what I already forgot. 1, 2, and then we can do tiny little wheats, tiny little cuts. Now these are ready for the oven. 1 and 2. Now you're going to bake with the lids on for 30 minutes at 450, and then we're going to come back, take the lids off, and bake for another 25 minutes on 425. Mama! Yes, darling. He's waving to the camera. Hi! Now we're going to turn the oven down to 425 and then cook for another 25 minutes. So I'm going to take it out right now and we're going to see what she looks like. Oh my Linta. You cannot cut them open until an hour because they're still actually going to cook inside for another hour. My scoring turned out alright. It definitely could be better. We can come back and see the crumb. They smell delicious. Let's cut into her. She's beautiful. Look at that. And she bounces back. Now that is some good bread. I am so excited to eat this. Alright, follow for more. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and maybe next time we'll do some inclusion loaves. Bye!